Hi, welcome, Nancy.
Great to be here.
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I've been wrapping Christmas presents and getting everything ready for January here at
Great.
the school, which means that's when you come.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I have such great memories of last year's class.
Well, thank you. I love Tubac. I love being there, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, it was really, really great for me. I don't think my headphones are working. Now, when you say something.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
Is that
These
better?
weren't working. They make better sound, but if they're not working, it doesn't make any difference. So tell me more about what's been happening this year since we saw you last.
Well, I've kind of had a really great year.
Yeah? You've been getting lots of awards.
Well, I have been. I started out doing the American Women Artists Show in Corning, New York. And that was exciting. It was at the Rockwell Museum. That was early in the year last year. Then I went and did a demo at the Oil Painters of America conference in Steamboat Springs. And that was fun. I don't know, we'll see if you can see my iPad very well. I used the setup I had for the painting then that I won a
Love that one.
Oh, thank you. I won Best of Show with the Texas members only of the Portrait Society of America. And so I used the same fabric and the same headgear and everything, which is a headdress maybe from Uzbekistan, somewhere in Central Asia. And I painted a model dressed like this for that deal. And then, of course, my really big prize was Best of Show for the American Impressionist Society. So I was super, super honored for this painting to win a prize. There were so many beautiful paintings in the show, and it was just fabulous. And then the really exciting thing is I'm using that wonderful prize money to go to India next year.
Wow. I bet you'll come back with all kinds of interesting props and ideas and inspiration.
Yes, lots of beautiful, colorful fabric over there and beautiful looking people. And so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. Will you take your painting gear with you?
I'm going to take watercolors.
Watercolors.
Sketching, yes.
Is that what you do most when you're traveling?
Oh, sometimes I take my oils. I enjoy plein air work, but on this trip, it's not really a trip with artists. It's a textile tour.
Uh-huh.
We'll be going to places where they hand make block print fabric and indigo dyeing fabric. And I enjoy seeing all those handicraft kinds of things, and we'll meet the people that are actually running these little operations. And so I'll have the best of both worlds, the fabric, and doing some sketching.
Well, and having any knowledge of how something's made just makes using it then so much more inspirational. So I've had some questions about your workshop, whether or not it's suitable to a beginner.
I think the answer to that is partly yes.
Partly.
I think it's always good when you're starting out if you get some good advice from the beginning.
Right.
Even though figure painting can be complicated and difficult, and it's helpful if you have some experience at doing it, of course. But if someone's just a beginner, I think that's okay. I can help guide them into the right kind of thinking, I think.
Right. Well, that was one of my thoughts is I'm not sure that my skill level was where it is today when I took it last year. But I felt like I learned a whole lot about figure painting, about painting in general, and most importantly, just your observations that you shared about principles of design and composition and things that inspire you and how all that weaves together. Well, that was fascinating to me.
I try to tell people absolutely every single thing I know. So I end up talking a lot, but one thing leads to another, and I think of things that are connected to other things, and I think, oh, people need to know this, they need to know that, and so
yeah,
you know, I think it is interesting. And I've taken a lot of good workshops from wonderful artists, and there are certain things they've said that really stick in my mind, and I want to pass those on. Yeah. I think when you go to a workshop and you come home with even one or two things that you never ever forget that you can apply to your work, it's really, really been worth your time and effort to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was so much fun working with all the costumes and different lighting and just, and why would you use this light with that background, and all of that is just so knowledgeable and really makes a person think about composing their artwork. And it
Right.
shows yours that it's not just, let me just take something out of photograph and pop it on there.
Right, right. And of course, for a workshop about creativity, you do want to try a lot of different things because you don't always know what you're going to respond to until you try it. Last year, we had the model laying on the floor, and I remember one artist painted her standing at the top of her head, and so she was essentially painting her upside down, and she had never done that before. And she found something about it really wowed her. She was, of course, seeing all the shapes on the face as only colors and shapes, not as a nose or eyes. And it kind of frees you.
Yes.
In a way, it's just like if you take a photograph and you turn it upside down and you paint the animal or the landscape or the person by looking at it upside down, and you do an upside down painting and you're just seeing the shapes and colors. So there's a lot of very simple things you can do that kind of makes you think in a different way.
Wow. So how did you learn all those things?
Well,
did you go to art school?
I'm really, really old, so I've had lots
Oh, you're not old.
to learn all those things. Well, my father was an artist, of course. So I grew up listening to him talk about art, and he always had his studio at our house. And so I was very familiar with how he worked and what his art supplies looked like, and just kind of the whole thing. And then he would take the family to art shows with him. He was in the Cowboy Artists of America, and so he did mostly Western landscapes and Western subject matter. But I kind of would see the whole process. I knew how it all worked from the beginning. And then I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Abilene Christian in West Texas. And I had, all it takes is a couple really good teachers to really ignite your interest and to teach you something. And then I've always read and studied and bought lots of art books on my own. And I've been to wonderful workshops a long time ago, a Ned Jacob one. I've been to Carolyn Anderson, Casey Baugh, Milt Kobayashi. Dan Gerhardt is such a giving teacher, and he shares so many interesting insights. So, you know, it's just an accumulation of a lot.
Yeah. And do you paint every day?
No. That's the honest truth. My goal is to paint every day. Some days I ship things, I do research, you can't.
And how about reading art books? Do you read one pretty much? Do you always have one going that you're reading?
Sometimes, not always, sometimes. I enjoy books about art crime, about famous art thefts. I read books about colors. I read biographies of other artists. So there's a wide variety of art books I like too.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. Very cool.
Well,
anything that you want to tell future students that might be interested in taking your class?
Well, come on and join us. You'll have fun.
Yes.
Paint things you haven't painted before. Now, I am a person who likes saturated colors, so I will be using colorful things in the class. If you want to paint a colorful object in black and white, you're welcome to do that. People who have never used limited color palettes, I encourage them to do that because it's also very freeing, and we talk a lot about values as well as color. So the students have a lot of leeway in what they want to work on. Sometimes it's very difficult to work on composition, values, color, edges all at the same time when you're just beginning or kind of in the middle somewhere. So it's fine if you want to concentrate, say, just on edges in one painting or just on values. I'm easy to get along with.
Yes, you are. We had so much fun last year. We got to have our faces painted for the Day of the Dead.
Yes, that was a real exciting thing, and that won't be happening in January. But
no,
that was
probably not. But it inspired a whole series of work for you. Is that right?
It did. I have some Day of the Dead paintings at K Newby. Yes, they're in Tubac, which is a beautiful sculpture garden and everything. But yes, I love people with paint on their faces, and I have painted people with painted faces in different ways. And if everybody wants to, we will paint the model.
Okay.
I'll bring my face painting makeup and we'll maybe paint a blue person or a red person or whatever.
Ooh,
You never know. You never know. I'm open to suggestions.
I always have paint on my face, but it's not necessarily put there on purpose.
I frequently do.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you took the time to chat with us today.
Well, I appreciate you calling.
Well, I think that everyone would be so smart to come and join your workshop. I think it's just a fascinating look at inspiration and creativity and just the principles of good art.
Well, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, we will see you January
25th, I think.
25th, 26th, and 27th, correct?
Okay, I'll be there.